Hello everybody and welcome to another Ascalon Catacombs Explorable video. Today we're going to be looking at the Howling King path. So we're starting where we left off before at the end of the Lieutenant fight, which you can find in the previous video. And this is just going to show one of the really hard encounters for this path. So you'll be doing slightly different stuff depending on which path you choose, but every single path has one particularly difficult encounter that you can fail and you'll have to retry if you do fail it. And what we're going to be covering is each of those because we spent quite a while figuring them out, so hopefully this will be useful to you if you've been stuck in here. This is the library room we've kind of been calling. What's the basic premise here, Mike? What
basic premise is, as soon as you get past those traps, which are quite easy to dodge, which we should probably explain in a minute, this guy will run straight over here and cause this thing to spawn, and you'll be like, whoa, what just happened? How do we deal with this? Don't worry, we'll try and explain it. But these burrows spawn, there's 6 in total. There's 2 chains of burrows, which I'm sure you'll be able to explain better than I can. And the idea is that you have to kill these things fairly quickly before Hodgkins gets overrun with Gravelings. Yeah.
So by picking this explorable path, you depending on which path you choose, you can have a different NPC with you. In this case, it's Hodgkins. He needs a certain amount of time, supposedly, to be able to read from the book to continue on in the story. In truth, the way this works mechanically is there are going to be 6 burrows that spawn. So burrows spawn themselves lots of Gravelings, lots of different types of Gravelings too. And your task is to destroy all 6 of these burrows. They won't all spawn at once, so we just took out a burrow there in the center of the room, and when we took out that burrow, it spawned a new one on the map. This was our very first attempt, by the way, which I'm showing here. I'm showing a couple of failed attempts and a couple of good attempts. The idea is you need to take out the burrows quick enough that the Gravelings don't come and overrun Hodgkins. If he dies, as you can see he's dead right now, you fail and you have to try again. And this can feel like
that might actually be a good idea to begin with, because you know, just let him get overrun to begin with, because it gives you more time to react, because you have to talk to him to trigger it afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. So I will be very impressed if anyone does finish this first time when he just goes straight away. You'll see as we continue this, we refine our strategy further and further and further until we found something that won for us. At the moment, these were just our first few attempts. We kind of realised, right, we've got these burrows to take out. Yes, I go down very quickly. I very quickly learn that I need to start escaping instead of just standing there. And basically, as we progress through, we figure some new stuff out, which at least we can show you. So the idea here is that, as I say, you've got the 6 of the burrows. Now, one will spawn at the start, as you can see on my mini-map. One will spawn to the west, I believe that was, and one will spawn right at the door where you came in. Now, what you could do is destroy both of those burrows, and by destroying each one, you will trigger a new one to spawn, and then you could destroy both again. But that means that your entire time during the challenge, you're against 2 burrows at once, which is a problem. So straight away, the best way to do this is to take out one burrow, then take out the one that spawns because you've destroyed that, and then the one following that. So what you'll end up with is just 1 burrow on the map to destroy rather than 2. This, where I'm stood right now, is a location of another burrow. And that's what we settled in on. So you kind of need to make a decision, which burrow chain do you want to destroy? Does that make sense? I think I explained that reasonably well.
I think that makes sense, yeah. There's 2 chains. If you destroy both of them at once, you have to deal with more. If you destroy one chain, that halves the amount of stuff you need to deal with.
Yeah, exactly. So the Gravelings themselves, we should probably talk about. These are the enemies we're fighting. Come in numerous varieties. They'll keep popping out of these burrows. The really dangerous ones, the ones as we mentioned in the previous video, you should probably take out first, are breeders, because breeders in themselves are like burrows. Burrows are structures on the map that will spawn more and more Gravelings. A breeder is a Graveling that spawns more and more Gravelings, which can be a real problem. If you leave those breeders to come out of the burrows and you just leave them around, you're going to very quickly get overwhelmed. Really quickly. Which
Where
you don't
you were
want to
stood just there on the west, that first burrow will spawn a breeder, unless, I don't know if this was bugged or if we just got lucky a few times. We didn't succeed any of these times, but sometimes it just didn't spawn a breeder. It might be to do with how fast you kill it, I don't know. Just expect a breeder to come out of this burrow that we're looking at right now.
Yeah, and breeders are quite tanky too, so you can't just expect one person to try and deal with it. I'd very much suggest that most of the team goes for it. So what's our plan here, Mike? What are we doing?
If somebody can ping that as well, just Control T when you've got the thing targeted, so that the rest of the team can see that there is a breeder on the field, then that'll help everyone too. So we've split up right now. We've got 2 guys defending the NPC, and we've got the rest of us dealing with this chain of burrows. As soon as this thing spawns, we're going to focus down this burrow that we're looking at, which will cause the one behind you to spawn, and then you will be taking out all these things on your own.
Yeah, so pretty much that's the plan. Now, we're definitely not saying you need an elementalist to do this. You just need a character that is spec'd in such a way they can deal AoEs to take out burrows.
Power is the main stat that you want for this.
So by destroying that first one, as you can see, this burrow spawns. Meanwhile, while I'm destroying this, the rest of the team is dealing with that breeder and keeping aggro off of the center NPC. I would highly recommend, if you really want to know what's going on, keep a close eye on the mini-map in the bottom right-hand corner, guys. But this, by the way, isn't actually a successful attempt we're showing you here. This is just once we've refined our strategy. And this was, in the end, the winning strategy. So yeah, I'm taking these things out. It doesn't need to be an elementalist at all. But Mike, for example, you in this run were condition damage, right?
I was spec'd for pure bleeding damage with my double sword setup, and it just was not good. In fact, melee isn't particularly fantastic at taking out these burrows because you miss a lot. There's some kind of weird bug going on with that, but let's not get into it.
Yeah.
If you've got range, then try using that.
So if you are watching these before you come into the dungeon, do be aware, obviously, that people spec'd for condition damage are going to be less effective against these structures, and in fact all of the different paths will have you fight a lot of these structures, so just bear that in mind. I think there's burrows on every single path that you find, except yeah, even the trap one's got burrows at certain places. So
yeah, there is.
So here we fell apart a little bit. We start to die, as to say this is a bit of a failed run. We are trying to defend. Me as an elementalist, as you can see, I go down very quickly. The key here, if you are a light armor class, keep moving. If you're a necromancer, you get a bit more health, obviously, so that's fine. But now we've taken out 2 burrows of a certain chain, but you can see there are still 2 burrows on the map, and that's because instead of focusing one chain here, we've now swapped over onto the other. Really, I should be destroying the burrow in the top left, as you can see on the mini-map, because by finishing that, we'd actually not have any more burrows we need to deal with whatsoever on the map. But we kind of split here. We've got Mike, who's condition damage spec'd up in the top right, trying to deal with it. It's not going too well. I have to turn around and come back mid-run through. Generally, it's just falling apart. We don't have too much cohesion here, and it's becoming a bit of a problem. As you can see, more and more Gravelings are coming out. It's just slowly
The hatchlings
getting
are fairly good to rally on, but you know, if you're starting to go down and things, then it might be time to just get out of the room and let the guy die and reassess the situation a bit.
Yeah, just to clarify here, we spent a good hour or so doing this on our first time through, so it really is something that you just need to figure out exactly how everything's happening, which burrows your team wants to focus on.
You should probably, if you're taking a pug, make sure that everyone in that pug knows that this might take a long time, because you don't want people to be leaving mid-run, and that'll be disappointing for people. So just make sure you know this might be difficult, and, well, likely will be, so be prepared to be here for a while.
So this is actually the successful run we're now watching. So you saw our general strategy there. This is it paying off. Now, this goes really well. Actually, really well. Surprisingly well, considering the situation we were in before. I throw down a Healing Rain early, just for a little bit of added support, and because I can. And we begin. So this time, as you can see there, I miss a lava font. That's actually useful for us, because it takes longer for this burrow to go down. I have to use my meteor shower. And something handy happens in this run that I never predicted would happen. Because I've blown all my cooldowns, because I missed the original lava font, this second burrow now is going to take a long time for me to finish. And because this is going to take a long time for me to finish, the burrow that will spawn once this one goes down is going to take longer to spawn deeper in the room, closer to Hodgkins, which buys the rest of our team more time to kill the breeder. If I'm still making sense, because this feels a little bit complicated. But basically, by spending a little bit more time, this would be my recommendation. If you do dedicate one person to taking out this burrow, leave it a while. Give the rest of your team time to finish off that original breeder. Now you can watch us on the map. We're all in the center, very safe. And now, instead of going for that other burrow, I'm going to aim this one specifically, because by doing this, we make sure we knock out this chain of burrows instantly, rather than always having to deal with 2 on the map. But you can just see on the map, I love looking at the mini-map here, we seem to just be so much clearer with exactly what's going on.
There's a lot of cohesion here, yeah.
Yeah, so look on the mini-map right now.
Also, be sure, if somebody dies fully defeated, waypoint straight back up to the north bit and then run back through those traps.
That's a rule of thumb, by the way. Never wait for someone to revive you from defeated mid-fights. It's just not worth it. I feel like when being defeated and running back into fights is just simply a part of Guild Wars 2. So just get used to that. Do your very best to get back in the room. As you can see, someone just did that there. But look on the map now. Look at Hodgkin's health. We only have one burrow that we need to deal with. Everyone can finish off all the other ads. That burrow is about to go down, and this is actually the final one here. Hodgkin's health is still absolutely fine. And as you can see, basically
you can barely line of sight through those shells, but if you get around here, it's much easier.
Yeah, yeah. So if it is very clutch, do be aware you can start hitting them as you're running at them, but you just need the right angle. But that's basically what we did here. We went with a 4-1 split. We had at least one. That's what I'd recommend. Have at least one player that can knock them out.
Very quickly, we should talk about the Graveling kill order. Always breeders first. Howlers can cause days and sort of annoying interruptions. They're not too bad. They buff allies, but they're not too bad. I would say go for the scavengers first because they will knock you down. That's hard CC. Get rid of those. They'll bother you and they'll bother Hodgkins quite a lot. And then go for the howlers.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a good way to do it. Hatchlings will probably just die by proxy, to be honest. If you've got any kind of AoEs, they'll just be falling down anyway. They're very squishy. But yeah, we'll be talking more about the Gravelings themselves, I suppose, in the next video, which will be another one of the paths. This is really the only very difficult thing from this path of the Explorable mode, and we will see you next time. Good luck, everyone.